Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Snake Pit Podcast, your one and only stop for all things entertainment, all things homegrown. Coming to you out of Toledo, Ohio, I'm your host, Jake Pilewski. You can follow us at jakepilewski.com. That's Pilewski. The Snake Pit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the second season of the Snake Pit Podcast. I'm here joined by my co-host, Amanda Pilewski, my wife and novelist, and this time singer-songwriter, Muddy, or you might know her as Madison Binkley.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Well, thanks for being here. I was dying to get you even last season, and then I had to get married and other things like that, so we took a little.
You had to?
Well,
excuse me.
That's not really the way I was meant to come off, but
Things to do.
we had,
things to accomplish.
there was a lot of things. I mean, I was finishing up an album and all that kind of stuff, so I had to take a little hiatus from the podcast, but it gave everybody a chance to listen to all the other ones we've done. So, yeah. So welcome and thanks for being a part of it.
Of course. I'm excited.
I'm going to get you the first 5 questions right away.
Right.
Then I give all the musicians that come, anybody that comes on here, but the musicians, it was kind of curated for that initially, so it's easier. It's a little to get to know you, so here they are. The first 5. First and foremost, what was the first album you ever sought out to buy with your own money?
Oh, geez. Probably something really embarrassing like...
They usually are.
Like the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah?
Something like that. I was really into them. I'm not kidding. But, I mean, when it comes to something with, like, no offense to the Jonas Brothers, like, a lot of credibility,
yeah,
probably, like, CCR. I wanted, like, this, like, their greatest hits album. And so I got that.
I mean, Jonas Brothers pretty solid. I mean, as far as musicianship goes. I mean,
Yeah. But, I mean, to show that I listen to something other than the Jonas Brothers, I'm going to give a better answer than that.
You're like, my PR told me different answer. No, I mean, I think Ryan Dunlap's was like Ninja Turtles or something
really?
like that. So,
okay, I don't feel as bad.
Most people, I mean, when they get their first album, I mean, it's usually not the be-all, end-all.
It's the first, so you're obviously younger, too.
Yeah. Unless you just, got out of a cave and you now discovering this thing called music and you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
But even then, it still might be Jonas Brothers first and foremost.
And then you're naive.
Yeah. So it's all good.
Cool.
It's not a bad answer. So second question. What was your first live concert experience that you went to?
That I went to?
Yeah.
I was 4 years old, and it was Aaron Carter. So my answers are like very, they all kind of are starting to sound the same here. But my sister was the big Aaron Carter fan at 6 years old. And so we went, it was in Cleveland. It was some outdoor show, and I remember falling asleep, like, on my dad's lap. It wasn't too exciting for a 4-year-old, but...
And now, I mean, so were you probably then into Backstreet Boys? And because I know that's the brother, but...
I mean, it was like Aaron Carter, and like that's when like Britney Spears was like huge, was when I was like younger, and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and my sister, another like I'd say one of the first concerts that I went to. My sister's like a huge Bon Jovi fan, and so I went to a Bon Jovi show when I was like 8 years old, I think, and that was different. That was a better experience. Yeah. That was rock and roll. It was fun. Yeah.
As someone who's seen both Aaron Carter and Bon Jovi, yes, Bon Jovi is better.
Yeah.
I suppose.
You're like, okay.
Sorry.
Get on board with that. No, it's good. Third question then, because I mean, anybody that hasn't got to see you live, clearly like you, we don't want to give people the wrong impression by obviously your music does not sound by any means like Aaron Carter or the Jonas Brothers. But we all have our humble beginnings. No, I mean, I just want to throw that out there as a disclaimer.
Thank you.
And so this is where it might change things a little bit. The third question, what would be your dream duet or collaboration? And that's with any artist in any way, whether it's songwriting or performing. And that could be alive or dead.
Mine would probably be Jack White, for sure. Just his songwriting. I think to write a song with him would be really interesting to do. Just to see how he does it.
Hell yeah.
Because he's so versatile. But I just like to see how his brain works when he writes.
Isn't he the one that did like an entire album in a day or something?
I would believe it. Yeah.
I think
He just does these crazy
yeah.
things.
'Cause I think that it was him that he went into the studio and just cut like 11 songs in a day or something like that. So it just
I wouldn't be
about right.
surprised.
and I don't think
yeah.
they were written in advance. It's one thing if you like have these well rehearsed, you know. But I mean, I think
In the
these were songs
moment.
that are in the moment because I know Black Keys have done that a lot of times too, or Dan Auerbach at least. Yeah, that's cool.
I'll be
Yeah.
fact checking that later.
We'll see. Now now we're getting a little more into Muddy. Fourth question. Let's see. Do you have a most embarrassing and most humbling experience as a live performer?
I don't think I have an embarrassing one yet because I just turned 21 less than a year ago, and I think that those happen more when alcohol is involved, you know? But every experience performing has been pretty normal. But humbling, well, I work at 3rd Street Cigar in Waterville, and we have 3rd Street Cigar Records, and a newer one, I don't even know if I want to say this, but it's going to come out anyway, so why not? Eddie Shaw, the classic saxophone blues player.
Yeah.
We're doing a live performance album of his, and he does a shout out to me because I played before him, and he was saying that I did a great job.
Well, that's slick.
I was like,
That's badass.
I know. I was like, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big blues fan too, so it was just like something that was really sweet
Yeah.
of him to say.
Feather in the cap.
Yeah.
So you don't have anything embarrassing, not even like tripping over your own self, or I mean,
I'm trying. I'm
dropping
really,
your instrument.
maybe like gigs where like I'm like the broken string queen. So like maybe like if there's been gigs where I've broken like literally more than 3 strings in like one set, and like I think at one point it was like the same string 2 times. Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that where I'm like, guys, wait 1 more second. I gotta change my string again. That's, I mean, off the top of my head, that's all I can really think of.
Oh, you're doing pretty good then.
Yeah, thank
You're
you.
doing
There's still a lot of time.
You wait.
Yeah, I know. It's coming.
Well, that's why we'll have you back on again. You know, down the road.
That's the first question you'll be asking.
Yeah. So going back, yeah. So then, I think finally of the final 5 of the first 5 is what irks you, like, so what pushes your buttons, what irks you, what kind of ticks you off, but also what inspires you. So the positive and the negative.
Like music or
Yeah, in general, as a performer or in music, it can be from the spectator point of view, or it can be from the performer. I mean, what does it for you?
this is just like a personal passion that irks me. But it has something to do with, I'm someone like, when people are like, you should go on The Voice or you should go on these things or whatever, I'm someone that like innately for some reason, just like when I think about like making it in music or like building a career in music, it's like doing every step and like working your ass off, you know? And so I think the thing that irks me is when people are like, it would be silly for you not to try out for these shows. And I'm like, you guys just don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's like a minor thing that irks me is when people think that it's like a big missed opportunity for me, but that's just not the way I'd want to do it, I don't think.
Good for you, though. I mean,
Thank you.
That's half the reason, actually probably more than half the reason I'm even doing this, podcast, is to try to shed a light in more of that story behind everybody. I mean, especially in town, because it's, for someone that's not involved in the industry in any way, a lot of people see it as either you're playing for no money, on the street corner doing this, or you're winning a Grammy. A lot of people don't realize that the majority of the industry is the in-between.
The Grammy is like the 1%.
Right?
Like
if
for real.
that.
Yeah, if that.
And for some, performers, the Grammy's not even, the ultimate goal. I mean, it's just...
As far as personal achievement,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say is something that irks me. It would be that just that people assume that that's just what you would have to do to consider yourself making it
Yeah.
the right career move or something.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that like other people shouldn't do it or that it's wrong for people to do it. It's just not in like my cards
Yeah.
at all. You know?
Well, people have to realize too, or remember that it is it's a reality television show first before it is.
The Voice for sure.
You know, I mean, those shows in general. I mean, if they're on, especially on broadcast or network television, ratings is what matters, and so you're not necessarily going to get ratings with putting the best performer up there as much as telling, you know, a weird story or a heartbreaking story or, you know, whatever.
Or even more so, I just don't think I could be okay with like, this is just me again, like the disclaimer.
Well,
But I don't think I'd be okay with like having the label like the Voice alum like my whole life. You know what I mean? Like I just don't think I would be all right with that. Even though that would be an accomplishment, not to say that wouldn't be a huge accomplishment, but there's something about it that just isn't, it just irks me a bit. But as far as you asked what inspires me also.
Yeah.
Anything, everything. I think what inspires me is like relinquishing control, like not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
Is the most inspiring thing, personally. That's like how I write everything. It's just like letting random words flow out. I have a song called Pressure's Cookin', and he's probably like, smart, yeah. It was like a stream of consciousness. Like none of the lyrics make sense, but I kept every single lyric because I'm like, this is pretty cool. You know, I didn't fix it, and that's special to me because that's what inspires me.
Yeah, I mean, not everything has to be a cohesive story. I mean, as a novelist, Amanda, you know, I mean, you can attest to that because it's not everything is going to be this Harvard law degree kind of, you know, transcript.
And it shouldn't be.
Right.
It absolutely shouldn't be. Sometimes me personally, I write something to make myself happy. And if other people like it, cool. And if not, also cool. But I'm not going to change what I do because somebody thinks that I should.
Yeah.
Like I like having like the words scrambled. I like, you know, not following all of the grammar rules because it doesn't matter.
I'm a English literature major at UT, so I applaud you for being a novelist because that's really difficult. Like for real. Like, so that's awesome. It's really cool.
Really
Thanks.
cool that is, you know, that you are in that major, and then you just got off saying that, you know, your songs, you know, that sometimes they don't necessarily all fall into place too. So that's neat that you can break yourself like from that a little bit.
There's allowed to be a separation between what you're going to school for and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And intellectually.
But not everybody
Because-
can do that. A lot of people, I mean, that is their be all
That is
end all. Yeah.
Exactly. It's nice when you can take a step back from that degree that is essentially a piece of paper and be able to be like, well, here are the rules, but you know what? Fuck that.
Yeah. It's like for real. Yeah. I mean, and like honestly though, like being like going to school for that is also really inspiring. Just like, all right, like sometimes if I'll like read a story or a novel or something, and I'll be like, that'd be cool to like just try and write a more like contemporary like version of that story. So like in my group, the Shake and Shivers, we have a song called I'm Awake, and I wrote that about Kate Chopin's The Awakening. But it's kind of, so obviously this novel from the late 1800s brought into like a blues rock setting. It's just kind of fun to do, you know?
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I dig
like
that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, that's when you said your age on here, which I was taken back. Not so much that I thought you looked older, but the first time I saw you, like ever experience Muddy, it was in a live setting, and I heard this really rich, mature sound on stage. So I'm interested to know where that came from because, again, obviously we all take, you know, these strange paths as artists, and you know, where does that richness come from? Is it stuff that you grew up listening to? Is it, you know, certain influence over time? I mean, I want to know where that, because you have like that really nice raw Americana, you know, feel to it. As a lot of the blues there's definitely a country element to it, and in all the good ways possible. I mean, it's everything that is good about Americana, and you have like a perfect voice for it.
Thank you.
So it's just interesting because it's this very mature sound too. So where does that come from? That's what I really want to know.
I'll give you like a blended answer that's kind of like in chronological order.
Perfect.
So all right, so I'm not one of those people that would say that I grew up around music. My dad plays bass and he played in like a ton of bands growing up. So I was around like a live music setting, which was cool. But at the time, it didn't mean anything to me. I never involved myself or thought that I would be someone that would play music. And then when I would do choir like in junior high and middle school, and I was told that something was wrong with my voice because I don't really have like that really like, I don't have like a soprano, like upper register type sound. And basically I hit a point where I was like, well, you know, fuck them, and I'm just gonna quit choir. And I started listening, this is surprising, but one of the most like inspirational things for my voice was listening to, well, two people. John Fogerty from CCR, like
Nice.
the power behind his voice. And then Caleb Falwell from Kings of Leon.
Oh, cool.
Just because he doesn't follow any rules, you know, especially in the earlier albums. And I was like, oh, I don't have to be technical. I don't have to follow any rules. And so that's where the power came from, is because I was like, I'm just going to sing. And it just so happened to work, you know. But no, I just like stumbled across music blindly when I was like 14, realized I could sing,
Wow.
learned guitar, and then started gigging when I was 15, and then it just never stopped.
Easy.
Yeah.
So in a lot of people's eyes, you know, that's a late bloomer in music. I was around the same age, just getting into it. So, well, now, you know, being into English, I mean, was the English major always something you wanted to aspire to do? I mean, is that...
I got more inspired to do that in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole English. I mean, I was one of those people that didn't have any like set idea of what I wanted to go to school for, you know, if I was going to go to school, like, you know. But I took AP Lit in high school, and it was like a college setting, it was discussion, and I realized I actually connected a lot to like the type of discussions we had through literature, and I just found like a passion in it that I didn't know I had, and so I decided to go to school for it.
Smart.
And it's nice that it also worked out in that way for you, like your ideal of what you thought it could be. And it's nice that you're finishing that. Are you done with school or are you still in school?
I'm still in school.
How long do you have to go?
I'm just finishing up my semester now, and now I have 2 semesters left.
Nice.
So I'm going to be a super senior, but that's okay. As long as I graduate, that's all I care about.
I mean, I didn't graduate until I was 27, so my parents told me that I should have a doctorate by then, but whatever.
It can be really frustrating though for students of any age, because they kind of put this by they, it's such a vague thing to say, but you know,
People know who you're referring to when you say they, when it's
in that
education in
context.
college and that, yeah.
Because we got this, you know, thing in our heads that, okay, it's, you know, 4 years of high school and then it's 4 years of college.
It's the pressure.
Unless I'm going to go on to get my master's and then my doctorate. I mean, you know, so it's, if you don't do it in 4 years, it's just like this panic and this,
Yeah.
and like I said, the pressure, and then you start discouraging yourself, and then the reality comes in, okay, well, how am I going to work a job and go full time in order to even do the 4-year thing? And it's crazy. I mean, it's
I
a
know.
lot of work.
I'm trucking through it, man. Like, I have so I'm doing school, obviously. And then I work at like 3rd Street Cigar, like I said. I'm just gigging when I can.
Good.
And just staying really busy. But I mean, music's my main priority, and that's the main goal. You know, that's like what
Cool.
I would really like to do. It's just going to be nice to have, you know, a piece of paper that will be a nice plan B. An expensive plan B, but that's okay.
The most expensive piece of paper you'll ever own.
For real.
But it's great too, because I mean, obviously you can benefit from your major when it comes to your music, when it comes
It's
to
nice.
you know, relationships with people. Period. I mean, it's like I went for marketing and graphic design, and so now I have to hire a lot less people for the work that I need done as a musician too.
That's
So
nice. Yeah, see? And I can use mine for like inspiration, you know, always learning writing styles, you know.
Because for all the rules you want to break, sometimes it's nice to know as many rules as possible, so you know how to really truly break some.
Yeah,
You know, it's,
I totally agree.
Because I'm sitting next to two people that really, have a way with words, and are writers of different medium. Would you ever consider writing? As a man or as a novelist, would you ever consider getting into writing more so book form?
I think if I were to do that, I'm really inspired by, and like basically all that I read in my free time are like short story collections. So I think if I were to do anything, it would be in the realm of, or in the medium of a short story, in the realm of like, I'm really into like Southern Gothic literature. Just has that feel to it, like William Faulkner and all that stuff. Because it's like, it's almost kind of what music does for you, which is like, it like invokes like a feeling, like especially on paper. You're reading it on paper, but it's making you feel a certain way. Most of the time it's like grotesque, which is kind of interesting, but it's just cool to see that like someone wrote something on a piece of paper and it's like affecting how I'm feeling,
Yeah.
It's very inspiring.
That's awesome. That's every writer's goal is to affect somebody.
Yeah.
Hands down. Hopefully, a lot of people. I know that's the hope, but I mean, ultimately,
even if just one person connects with what you're writing,
right?
Yeah.
Then other than yourself,
Yeah,
that's a success.
That's a victory. And then down the road, have somebody else even throw your name out there in a podcast or in different medium or something. That's where I want to know where, if you don't mind sharing, unless it's this big secret, where the name Muddy came from.
It's not a secret. It's just unknown. So it's kind of a mystery.
I don't want to spoil that. It's
yeah. I mean, like for real, it's a mystery. There's home videos of me as a newborn baby, and I'm being called Madison. Okay, and then there'll be home videos of me when I'm like a year old, and I'm being called Muddy. And I asked my family, where did this come from? And no one knows. I'm not kidding. So when people, there's so many layers to it that make it so funny to be a Toledo area musician that plays like contemporary blues music, because Muddy Waters and Muddy the Mud Hen,
Yeah.
People are like, oh, is it because of Muddy Waters?
It's great though.
I'm like, no, you can make up your own story, go for it. That is more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes me think, because because obviously it could have been some way a nickname, I suppose, a shortened version of Madison. Like maybe somebody went to call you Maddie and they kind of screwed up the vowel.
I'm thinking sometimes my mom calls me Mudison, and I'm thinking maybe she said that first and then it stuck. I really don't know.
You said you had an older sister, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe she just bombed it when she was a kid.
Maybe.
And that's
you think
all she
that
could
would
call
be
you.
memorable though if she kept calling me that?
But sometimes it just, I think sometimes stuff like that just sticks.
I like not knowing. I love like
Mystique.
mythology and all that stuff. The myth of Muddy's name origins.
Well, especially, when you are Muddy, and if you yourself do not know where it came from, then who the hell's really going to be able to say, like, this is where it came from?
False.
Yeah, you're wrong. It's actually from, yeah.
Well, had you got on The Voice, they probably would tell you got to come up with a nice story for that name.
Yeah.
We have a mime here. So tell me about the songwriting for you, because I know you talked a little bit about the process, the inspiration. I've heard a number of your tunes, which I love, and I like that there's little bits of familiarity to them that have a little bit of, Americana and blues, but again, you do break some rules in a really good way. Do you have a lot of stuff recorded, or are you in the process of recording?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
in the next couple month or two, we're planning on recording a solo album.
Cool.
Yeah, like a new one with all of the, because I have previous solo stuff I did, but what I tell people, it's great, it was fun, it was a good experience. I love the songs when I wrote them, but it's like I'm like so young that I'm growing so much musically that I don't feel connected to them anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to, put something out there that like A, I'm performing all these songs all the time. B, that like I feel like I really connect to and they really represent me or how I want people to perceive my music.
Yeah. Well, just to warn you, as soon as you record it and you continue to write, and gradually, obviously, you'll get older, because we all do, you will continue to find yourself disconnected to this stuff, just because I mean, the better you get and the more you learn and the more experiences you have, I mean, all of a sudden you're going to keep acquiring more and more knowledge and memories, and then it will be these kind of, it's fun though, because you look back and it's almost like a photo album, but audibly, and that's a neat experience.
Yeah, and something I started doing, I think because I took note of the fact that I couldn't like really, like I felt disconnected from them, is I've started writing in a way that has nothing to do with me, so that they kind of just exist on their own all the time, you know? So I feel like sometimes when you're so connected to something that you write, it almost like it could be really beneficial down the road, like something to hold on to, like a photo album, you know?
Yeah.
But or also, you know, could be something you never want to look at again or listen to again because you were so emotionally connected to it, you know?
Yeah.
So I started writing like this set of songs for the most part are all like just kind of someone else's story that I'm just writing about for some reason.
Which is great. I mean, just like
there's
every...
nothing wrong with that, because if you're so connected to just one thing that you do, like how do you grow beyond that? Like writing. I mean, the first story I ever wrote was called The Mangler, and I'm glad that was a part of my life. But if I was still holding on to that, that would shape everything that I'm doing like today. And there's no need. You have to grow. You have to move on sometimes.
That's all humans do.
Yeah.
So you got to get it out, and it connects with you for that moment, and then it can connect with somebody else down the line.
Well, and it's great if you're telling somebody else's story. It's essentially the equivalent of writing a fiction, you know, short story, as you've already talked about, you know.
Like a short.
And you can, you know, take it or leave it. I mean, and it's, I don't know, then you have more opportunity to just do more random kind of, I mean, there's a lot of stories to be told out there. That's why I love having these conversations with, with people on here.
In my group, the Shake and Shivers, we have a song that I wrote called Backwards Sally. And it was like my favorite thing to write because it's about this woman, but I have no idea who she is. And, you know, and I remember writing it. I was like sitting in my parents' like living room, and I was just sitting on the floor. And I was like, I'm just going to write this woman's story, but everything she does is just backwards. And that's just what the whole story is. And like, no one has to know who Sally is. I don't even know who Sally is. You know what I mean? But
well, you don't even know who Muddy is. I mean, the origin of it.
That leaves it to the listener and myself to like kind of make their own version of Sally, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
And it's fun to do that.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's great when things are open for interpretation.
Yeah.
Because it's nice because then it can appeal to more than just one target audience. It can appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which is super cool. Well, then, where can people find your music? Where can people find your schedule? Where can people just, catch up with you and find you?
Cool. All right. So I have a website, musicbymuddy.com, and I post like my show schedule, and there's like links to like buy my music on there. Until the Shake and Shivers get their own website, I also have the Shake and Shivers schedule on there. I'm also on Facebook under Muddy as a music page, and my Instagram is Music by Muddy, and that's it.
Awesome. Well then, again, thanks for being on here.
Of course.
And yeah, I don't know. Let me pick your brain one last time.
I've got something.
You got something.
Go for it.
We need to get you one of them lights.
Because I know. Because I know. But it's MUDDY.
Yes. MUDDY, yep.
Because that's important.
That is very important.
That is very important.
It's not IE. It's not EE.
It's not MUTTY.
It's not
Mutty.
What?
Who knows? People turn, T's into D's when they, the lazy tongue.
MUDDY.
I mean, it's going to be written on there when we post this, but I know it's a
I
good
know,
question
but
to
you
ask.
know, not everybody listens.
I know.
Multi.
Some people, or
I
not
mean,
everybody
everybody
looks.
looks. They just, yeah.
Some people just listen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. One last time, do you have any advice for other songwriters, for other musicians, for anybody performing in general, whether they're just starting to pursue it or whether they're already in the midst of it?
This is the piece of advice that I follow all the time, is nobody ever made a difference in music doing what everyone else does. You have to do something different to stand out.
Well said. And concise.
I think
Nods
it's 'cause
around the table.
I think it's because I say it in my head so much that it just has become this phrase that's lodged in my brain all the time.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Be a nice tattoo.
It's a couple sentences. I mean, if you want to go as far as doing that,
Yeah.
I won't stop you. As long as you quote.
I was to say, gotta quote it.
Yeah.
D's, not T's. Excellent. Well, thanks. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, I look forward to hearing more, and I look forward to getting you back on to tell those embarrassing stories that will eventually happen.
I can't wait.
They come with the miles and miles we put on ourselves. So
Thank you for having me.
absolutely.
You can follow us at jakepilewski.com. That's Pilewski. The Snake Man.